Hi, welcome to the Ask the Admin webinar with Kyazma. My name is Ken Hansen. I'm a senior consultant with Kyazma. Real quickly, a little bit about me. I have been working in Salesforce since it was in beta. So I've been doing it for almost 15 years, and I've learned a lot about the tool over the years. And one of the most important things that I've learned about Salesforce is the power of reporting and dashboards and the importance of that in CRM. If you ask anyone who's struggling with their CRM system what they're struggling with, almost universally you'll hear them say, I can't see the data, or I can't get the data that I want to see. Um, and I can't get that to my boss. I can't get that to my sales managers. I can't get that to the VP of sales or to the executive team on a dashboard. It's one of the main reasons why people say that they don't like their CRM, whichever it is that they're using. With Salesforce, what I like to do with our clients is I like to ask them right out of the gate, um, what are your top five reports or dashboard views that you want to be able to see, and uh, and then when we find what those things are, find out what those are, we are able to then effectively help that client to achieve their goals. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and what you'll see here is a demo site that I've created that is a replication of an enterprise instance of Salesforce. So we'll be working in the enterprise instance today. Many of the things that you see are also available in professional edition and even group edition. Um, but this is being demoed in the enterprise edition of Salesforce. Okay, so first of all, uh, what we want to understand is how to build a basic report. And I'm going to go over that briefly, and then I'm going to go over joined reports, which is a report type that has always been uh, kind of elusive and difficult to understand. I hope to be able to show you today how to create joined reports that are useful, and basically show you how to build a joined report so that you can start using that tool. So of course we'll go into the reports tab. The reports tab actually allows us to create a new report or a new dashboard, and we'll come back to that in a second. So let's talk about creating a new report. Let's say that we wanted to generate an opportunity report that would allow us to see um, three different types of data in one report. And so what we would do is we would create a joined report. I'll go down here, click on the opportunities. These are the report types. This is the report type folder, and then click create. And what that will do is that will take us to a pre-built opportunity report type. Here we are in the building in the report builder. A couple things to notice over here are all of the fields that are available to you to build in a opportunity report. You'll notice you've got account fields, you've got opportunity fields, you've got standard fields, opportunity information, you've got um, contact fields, and then custom fields within an opportunity. A lot of fields to go through. So one of the first things you can do is what I like to do if I'm building a report from scratch. This is a nice one to start, and I know that I want to keep amount and an opportunity name and probably opportunity owner in this report. Everything else, though, I kind of want to blow up and start from scratch. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to remove all of the columns here. Just by tapping on that, it asks me if I want to. I say yes, I do. And now we go into the quick find section at the top of the field labels, and we're going to put in the owner. So I'm going to type owner, and there's opportunity owner right there. And then I'm going to type in amount, and there it is right there. And I'll pull that over here. And I think I want to see the name of the opportunity. I'll put that right there. And that's just a basic, that's a 3-column tabular report. Okay, there's a couple different ways to build reports. There's what's called a tabular report, which is just a straight columns, shows you what's going on. and it's also filtering based on the close date. I actually want to do this differently. I want to filter this based on created date, and I want to take reports that have been created in this instance for all time, or opportunities that have been created over the life of the instance. And the reason why I'm doing that is because this is a demo instance and it's only been live for about 6 months. And so there's not a whole lot of data. So I want to pull as much data in so you can see. Another important thing to remember when you're looking at a report in preview format is that that's what it is. It's preview. It doesn't give you an actual accurate amount of data. In order for you to see that accurate amount, you need to run the report. Before we do that, we also want to summarize some fields. So we want to see what the total amount is of opportunities for all time. And so we summarize that by clicking on the summarize drop down and click sum. You can also do the average and the max and the minimum. We're just going to do the summarizing, the sum amount today. And now you'll see at the bottom of that column is this number here. Let's say maybe you also want to track this by stage. And so I'm going to pull stage in. Stage is going to be where it is in your sales process. Is it at the beginning, middle, or end? And so you may also want to put in probability right here. So that shows you the different amounts. And then maybe you want to sort that by probability, going lowest to highest. I'm going to actually switch that and go, no, I'm going to go lowest to highest, excuse me. All right, so now you've got your basic view of what could be considered a pipeline opportunity report, a very high level basic pipeline report that shows you opportunities and where they are in the process. You can see I have a couple that have been closed and won. So in a pipeline report, we wouldn't include closed and won. And so what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll create a filter, or what I'll do is I'll manage the filter here. We're looking at all opportunities, and what we're going to say is only opportunities that have an open status. And then we're going to run the report. Now I haven't saved the report yet. I have run it though, because I want to see what it looks like before I save it. So this is what it looks like. This is again a basic tabular report. Maybe we want to put a graph or a chart into this report. So when we do that, we have to go back and customize it. You are unable to put graphs and charts on tabular reports. You have to summarize or create a summary report. That you do by going into the report format and changing it to summary. And then let's say for a pipeline report, you want to pull and group these by stages. And then let's say before we add a chart, we want to see what that looks like. So the cool thing here is you can see each stage is summarized for you. This is how many dollars you have in each stage. Okay. And then we're going to run it again just to take a look at it. Again, this is what a summary report looks like, a very basic one based on stage. Now let's say we want to add a funnel view to this so that we can see what the funnel amounts look like. We go back into customize again, and remember I haven't saved this report yet. Still an unsaved report, but I've been able to go and look at it before I save it. I'm going to add a chart, and I want to do a funnel chart. And if you remember earlier, I sorted by stage, going 10% down, and that's reflected here in this preview as well. A couple of the things I can do on formatting is I can say I don't want to show labels. Okay, there's the label right there. Maybe I want to combine some small groups into an other category. I don't really want to do that here, but nevertheless, that's something that gives us the opportunity to do. Maybe I want to see the value of each funnel stage, or maybe I want to see what percentage of each one is making up the pipeline. And maybe I want to enable hover so that when, instead of showing it, I can simply hover over a section and it will give me the value. Let's also say we don't want to see this right at the top of the report. We want to see it at the bottom of the report. And then we hit OK. Now that graph will now show up at the bottom of the report. And when you hover over the sections, it'll show you the dollar amount and the percentage. Now, again, we're still in preview mode, so I'm going to run this report to see what it looks like again. And here is our report, and here's the data, hovering over and giving you the accurate numbers. This is also a bit of a preview for how we could build a dashboard component. All right, let's talk now. Let's shift gears for a second and talk about joined reports. And I'll focus on that. Well, I'm sorry, let me back up one more step here. We've talked about tabular reports, we've talked about summary formats. We'll talk about a matrix report real quick. So a matrix report gives you another way of looking at the data. Let's say that you wanted to look at this from a stage perspective and also a probability perspective. So you bring this over here. And then let's say that you wanted to summarize the information. Right here. You wanted to look at it in not just the sum, but you wanted to see the average as well. So you select that there, and now it shows you the average amount and the sum. And just for kicks, let's look at all four of them. So summarizing this field, what's the maximum amount, what's the minimum amount, and then apply. Okay, I'm going to pull probability out of here and put it back over here in those columns, and instead I'm going to bring opportunity owner over here. So now we see in the qualification stage, we can say these owners are in that qualification stage, and these are their average numbers and their smallest and largest deal. Again, another thing to note is that we don't have a graphic with a matrix chart. I'm sorry, we do have a graphic, but that should go away, or I'm not able to update it as effectively. I'm going to run this report as a test to see how it looks. And here we have Chuck Bartowski, $0. Ken Hansen, these are the dollars. In execution plan, short list, it breaks it down by each stage, and then you still have the graph at the bottom showing you a visual view. But the matrix view is just one more way to use a report and look at a report. Finally, let's talk about joined reports. So I'm going to go in here, and instead of, I'm going to pull it back into a summary format. I'm going to pull opportunity owner up here, and I'm just going to do some rearranging. In fact, I don't think we want probability in the joined report, so I'm going to remove the column. You can do that by clicking on the drop down and removing the column, or you can simply drag the field over here. One other item before I do the joined report that I think is pretty cool is filtering. Let's say we wanted to filter on, let's see, if we want to go opportunity record type. If we look at opportunity record type and we see new business and renewal, and we wanted to filter just on that, we can do that by a couple ways. We can click on the filter here and add a field filter, which then gives us a new field filter down in this section here. And we can type in opportunity name or opportunity record type. It will do a search for you. If I type in type, I see opportunity record type is there. There's another way to do that too. Instead of going up here, clicking field filter, etc., you can take the field from the report that it's in and drag it. The field stays there, but it also comes up here to create a report. And then we want to look at just new business. We insert that and hit OK. And then run the report. And now we have a filtered report just showing new business deals by stage, giving us the average, max, minimum, and sum of each stage, and total across all stages. All right, now we're going to talk about joined reports. I'm actually going to save this report. Let's go back and run it. I'm going to save this as opportunity pipeline report. When you save reports, I like to put my initials and the date that I created the report and any other description, but I almost always put my initials and the date. And then you can create folders. These are folders that were already created, or you can put it in the unfiled public reports. It's save and return to report. Let's go into the reports tab for a second, because what I'd like to show you real quickly is saving reports in folders. So you can create a new folder here by tapping on this. Okay, there it is. A new report folder. We're going to call it Pipeline Reports. And public folder access read only means that when people go to get reports out of there, they won't be able to edit the reports. Folder is accessible by all users except for your portal users, your community users. And I have this report that I just built, the Opportunity Pipeline Report. I want that to be in this folder that I just created. And so I'm going to do that and hit save. I'm also going to create a report folder called Joined Reports. And I'm going to take this report, which I built earlier, and I'm going to pull it over there. We'll look at that in a second. All right. Let's go back and talk about joined reports again. So if I wanted to take this report and break it down and look at it differently, let's say I want to look at all opportunities that have been created, all opportunities that have been closed, and all opportunities that are set to close in the next quarter. And I want to see all three of those things views in one report. Well, what I'll do is I'll create a joined report. So let's go back in here and customize this. Now we've already saved this report, right? So you can go in and open up existing reports that you already have and create new reports out of them. I like to do a save as right out of the gate. And save that report. So that I'm not blowing up a different report that I've already created. Now I've taken that report, saved it as something new. The other report still exists, just so we can double check that. Here's the Opportunity Pipeline report that I just took and saved it as something else. That report is still here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to turn this into a joined report, which is what I built there. All right, joined reports. Pretty cool functionality. I like it, and I want to show you how to do it here. I'm going to pull the stage back here, and I'm going to just rearrange a few things. And I don't want the record type in here anymore, so I'm going to remove that. Interesting thing to note that even though I've removed record type from my view, I'm still filtering on record type. So you can filter on fields that aren't in the report itself. Now let's say, for instance, I wanted to filter on age. I could pull age over here into this column and filter on age as well. Anything that's greater than 100 days or something like that. All right. Opportunity owner and opportunity amount are the two fields that we're going to use in creating a joined report. And this is how you do it. You go to the format, you click on joined. You have a report block here. We're going to name this first report block opportunities created. Okay, let's do that again. Created this year. Okay, and we're going to do a range on this for created date, current fiscal year. Then we want opportunity owner and amount in the next joined report, and this is how you do that. You get the field that you want, You drag it over to the right. You notice that the checkbox is now green. It was red here because I already have that field in this block. I'm creating a new block by simply dragging a field over, and now we have the new block. I'm also going to put a mount in this. Now I can simply come over here and drag this here. And let's see, what else? Let's just do those two for now. Now we're going to filter this report. So now you can see here, opportunity created this year. We're going to say this one is opportunities closed. So we're going to rename this. Closed this year, or closed to date is probably a better way of saying that. I'm also going to remove the filter for new business that I had in there. Opportunities closed this year. So now, closed one specifically. So I'm going to go closed one. You notice that I went in and I have this block and these filters now. And I want to see closed this year. So I'm going to go current fiscal year. And finally, we're going to do one more view of opportunities in the pipeline or opportunities set to close in the current and next quarter. So we're going to go owner again, because what we're doing is we're tracking owner performance, so to speak, and amount. Bring that over. And we're going to summarize these fields. And I think we already have. I'm going to remove the average, max, and the minimum. And hit apply. I'm going to double check this one. We need to hit summarize again if we hadn't before. And summarize. For each block, it resets the field properties that you're telling it to do. Let's do something else here. We're going to bring stage as well. We're going to pull stage over into each of these. And there. Okay, just to start, let's just preview this for a second. One more thing I need to do. These are open with a close date. For the current fiscal quarter, we're going to say the current and next fiscal quarter. Now we're going to run the report. This is what a joined report looks like. Things to remember are you want to be able to keep this report viewable without having to scroll right and left, and so you want to capture the minimum amount of information that you need. These are opportunities that are created this year. These are of those opportunities here, the ones that are set to close this year. I didn't label that block. You can see here, Salesforce will give you a generic label if you don't label it. These are opportunities that have been closed won this year. Kind of pathetic for my sales team. Augie Anderson needs to step up his game, or everyone else needs to step up their game. And that's a basic example of a joined report. Let's say you want to put a graph to a joined report. Let's go back here and customize this. In order to put a graph into a joined report, you have to group things. So let's say we want to group across blocks based on, let's do this, based on owner. So now the owner shows up as the group across all blocks. If we run this report real quick and look and see what that looks like, it can actually look kind of ugly. Okay, here's the way you clean that up. You don't necessarily have to see all this data. You just want to see numbers and owners. In order to do that, you click hide details. When you hide the details, it brings that information over to the left. Augie Anderson closed one deal for 50K. Calder Michaels has one deal that he's created, and it's in the pipe to close this year. Chuck has got opportunities worth nothing. Ken has got 19 opportunities worth 1.6 million. He can't seem to close anything though, and he hopes to close something by the end of this year. Sarah Walker is new, and she's got a 40K deal. That's how you would use a joined report like this, and it's pretty cool functionality. I like it, and it's a different way to view your data. Now, I said that we've got a way to put a graph on this, and we do. So now we have opportunity owner down here. I'm going to go into a different report that I built just to display this, and it's in the joined report example right here. So what we've done here is we've broken it out by opportunity name and opportunity owner. We can see the numbers here. Ken Hansen has a huge pipe, and he's closing next month. He's closing some, but not all. Sarah Walker says she's going to close some. Calder Michael says he's going to close some. This is just how much have I created an opportunity, and how much do I think I'm going to close next month? The way you do that is by summarizing across groups or across blocks. When you do that, you're able to then take a different view on that. Let's talk then for a second. Now that I've shown you just a basic way to set up a joined report, the reason why I did that, folks, is because it took me a while to grasp the fact that when I'm building a joined report, I need to take and create blocks by dragging fields, and that once you figure that out, it's pretty slick. Let's say you wanted to add something to this. Let's say you wanted to add accounts to this joined report. You can do that by going in and clicking on add report type right here. Right now, the report type that we're working on is an opportunities report type. It says so right up there at the top. Let's say we want to add accounts to this, an accounts report type. We go in and we click on the adding additional report type, and now it's going to show accounts out here. I'm going to rename this while I'm thinking about it. This is going to be okay, and then we're just going to call this activity. All right, and then if we go over here, we can see there's common fields. There's phone and address, etc. We want to get down to the nitty-gritty here. So you can open up these folders. Account last activity. I want to pull that over here. Where is that? Okay. Oh, look at that. I need to show details, right? And last activity is already there. Last modified is already there. Account name is there. This makes the report a little bit bigger. We want to remove some fields. We don't need the billing state, at least not for this report. We don't really need type. Okay, and you also notice that owner on the opportunities has disappeared. When we pulled another record type in, the owner disappeared. So we're going to put owner back in there. We want to see that. We want to see opportunity owner. I'm going to drag it right down here. And it doesn't let me pull that down because opportunity owner is not the same as account owner. Let's see if I can do this here. I can't do it there either. So there's sometimes it's a trial and error type of a situation where you're building reports and you want things to look differently. You just kind of got to go in and check it and see what you need to do differently. I'm going to pull opportunity owner there, and I'm going to pull this block if I can. all the way over. And I did that because I want to see accounts first. Then I run the report. So this shows accounts activity. Obviously, we don't have an activity right now, but we want to see how many of these accounts, if we have accounts that are in the pipeline, do we have activity on those accounts? And so you can see, again, you can do cross-object joined reports and take a look at different views that way. All pretty effective and good ways of looking at the data. For the next 15 minutes, I want to jump into dashboards and building a dashboard. Let's see. So we're going to go in here. Right now, this is a generic dashboard. It's provided by Salesforce, and these are all Salesforce provided dashboards in the Enterprise Edition. The Professional Edition also has two dashboards, the Company Performance Dashboard and the User Adoption Dashboard. I'll show you those real quickly here. Company Performance Dashboard gives you some views, and each of these dashboard components is driven by a report underneath it. We'll look at those in a second. Here's the adoption dashboard. This shows how many activities are being logged by your users. It shows how many people are logging in and how many accounts have been added to Salesforce, how many contacts have been added into Salesforce, how many people have created tasks, what are the number of reports that have been created in this instance, and how many leads, how many opportunities, documents, cases, etc. This is a good dashboard. It's right out of the oven for you. Salesforce has built it for you. I recommend going in and using it and then tweaking it. This is how I build dashboards most of the time. In my career, I've come into organizations that have already used Salesforce. I've only back in the earlier days, I did implement a couple of Salesforce instances, but later in my career as an admin, I was always coming into a company that already had Salesforce built, and they had a lot of reports and a lot of dashboards that maybe needed to be cleaned up. And so I would go into an existing dashboard and start working within the reports. If you go into this dashboard, the adoption dashboard, it's a great one to use and to adopt as just an activity dashboard. So one way you can do that without having to write any new reports is simply to go in and clone this dashboard, which is what we'll do right now. So when we clone the dashboard, it takes us into the dashboard edit mode. And right out of the gate, there's some components that I don't really care about right now. But before we do that, I'm going to go into the properties of the dashboard and name this. So this is going to be called the Activities Dashboard. All right. And we'll put it out in the company dashboards, or maybe the performance summary dashboards, and hit OK. Now, I don't really care in my activities dashboard who's logged in, so I'm going to remove that component. I don't really care about the number of active users right now. This is not an adoption dashboard anymore. Don't need to know who's logging in and who isn't. Don't need to shame those who are not logging in. But we do want to see activities. So I'm going to pull activities over, and we want to see tasks, but I'm going to leave tasks here. I'm not interested really in reports created. So yes, I want to delete that. And I'm not really interested in reports modified. So I want to delete that too. And for now, we'll leave these here. I am interested in the number of accounts and contacts. Not really interested in this view of tasks and activities. And I'll leave the rest of them. But you see the basics on how to delete components in a dashboard. Now let's say we want to add something to this dashboard. We want to add the pipeline view that we created in a report earlier. So when you are, obviously this is not a pipeline dashboard, but for purposes of this training, I'm just going to show you how to create a component and add the report and make it look good. So first of all, you pull a component over that you want to be part of this dashboard. Maybe it's a pie chart. We'll take a look at it from both perspectives. The view here then is to go to your data sources. Once you've pulled the component over, you go to your data sources. And if you're building reports for a dashboard, usually you've got 5 or 6 reports that you're tasked with building and then representing on a dashboard, which means that you've probably built those within the last either a couple of hours or a couple of days. And so I like to view the recent reports that I've built. So I click on recent, I open up reports, and I can see just the recent reports that I've built within the last couple of weeks or days or hours. Here's the pipeline report that we built earlier in this session. I'm going to pull that over here. And it's going to take a second. In the meantime, these are columns in a dashboard. So I like to name the top of the column and keep it dialed in pretty much with what we're trying to report on in that column. So maybe I have another report down here that says completed activities last 20 days or last 10 days. Maybe here I have open tasks with deadlines of next week, open tasks with deadlines of next month. So this is the activities column, this is the tasks column. This is perhaps redundant because tasks and activities are often the same thing. But the reports are different, and so we're going to look at them differently. Here's a view of the funnel that was being generated. Let's take a look at it from a pie chart perspective. There's a view of it from the pie chart. Again, these are previews. I'm going to put down here, I'm going to edit this header and call it the pipeline view. Current year. Down in the footer, you can put extra information. You can say, perhaps this report needs to be updated on a quarterly basis. So, look at that typo. On a quarterly basis, maybe you say here, update report each quarter. Okay, that's what the footer is for. It gives the extra information or gives direction or guidance on what they're looking at in that component. And now I'm gonna hit save. It's going to take me back to what I just did earlier. Save and run the dashboard. It's going to take us out to a view, and it's going to start generating and pulling the data and then show it to us. So there's a view. Obviously no open tasks or assigned tasks right now, but here's a good pipeline view. Another important thing to remember about dashboards is that whatever you're looking at in a dashboard view, if you leave that dashboard and go home, you should be able to see that dashboard here on the home page. And there it is right there. When I hide the feed, what shows up here is the top 3 components of the dashboard that you were just looking at. You can then click on that component right on your home page, and it'll take you right to the report. This is great for your VPs and the people who want to see stuff every day. Create a dashboard for them that has the top 3 components that they need to see, and then have them open that dashboard. And then whenever they log into Salesforce on their homepage, they will always have those top 3 components that they need to be looking at. Let's go and build a few more dashboard components. Okay, so if I go into edit mode on the activities dashboard, this is really becoming the the dashboard that we're going to build for all of for anything here. I want to show you maybe a goal dashboard. This is goal versus actual, and the report we'll use on this is the one that we just used for the pipeline. We'll go here, opportunity pipeline report. Now, let's say we need to obviously set some parameters here, and we want it to look a little differently. So we go into the wrench on the component right here. There's a wrench right there, and edit the attributes. Let's say the minimum is 0. The first breakpoint is going to be 50,000. Second breakpoint is going to be 90,000. Oh, 900,000, 90,000. And the maximum is going to be 100,000. Let's ask it to show percentage. My numbers are very high, so I'm going to change this to be 1,000,000, and this is going to be 900,000. It's going to be 700,000, and this is going to be 300,000. That's better. Hit OK. Still doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Do we want to show in thousands and millions or actuals? I always like to show actuals. Some people don't. Depends on what your executive team wants to look at. But let's say we want to change the value. We want the sum of the amount. We want to look at whole units. And we don't really need to see, you know what, maybe we don't need to see the total. We just need to see that we are at 179% of what our goal is. If our goal is 1,000,000, we are now over that by 179%. Looking at it in preview, which is breaking my own rules, we will go ahead and close this, which will ask us to save and close it. And it'll take us back out to the dashboard. And away we go. That's how we build dashboards. That's how we build reports. I see we have 3 questions. I want to answer those questions because it looks like they are addressing professional edition questions. So let me shift gears for a second and answer a few questions. And feel free to post questions right now if you have any from the group. The first question is from Brennan Hogan. Any advice, best practice for creating a report that displays monthly sales target versus actual sales results? Brendan, I think we covered that right here. Is that an accurate answer? Targets versus actual. If the target is 1,000,000, we've now exceeded that target by 179%. Ideally, it would join opportunities, users, and custom object targets. You can certainly report on custom objects. If you've created a custom object that's a target, the one downside for you, my friend, is that joined reports are not available in Professional Edition. However, you can take a component here and build your goal and put your target in here. If your target is really for this view, the target was 700,000. Once you reach the 700,000, everything else is gravy, and you hit your target. Just reading through your question, want to chart those targets, close one deal out each month, trend line type. I think that Brennan, I'm happy to even answer that question with you offline and go over a few things that we need to. Teresa, you've asked the question, with Professional Edition, can each user create their own dashboard, or does the system admin have to do it? Each user can create their own dashboards and their own reports. You simply have to give them that permission to do that. Okay, so Brennan's got an additional question, seeing something that took place January through December. So I really limited ourselves here to just the year, but if you go into this report, open that up and create reports for your time frames. Right now, this is a create a date all time, but maybe you want to, and this is an open report. if we took this and said, let's do this and filter it based on the created date or a close date of custom, and have that be from January to the current year, I guess is what I'm saying, current fiscal year, and run the report. That report now shows just what's set to close. It doesn't show anything that's open. It's just what's set to close for that year. If I save this report, now I'm not changing it. I'm not saving it as something else. I'm just updating it. And if I go back to the dashboard and refresh this dashboard, this will, I think this will look different. I think this will look different. They'll all three look different because we're capturing information on the report differently. There, now you can see our goal versus actual. We've hit our goal for the year of 1 million. And these views change as well. The pipeline here now is much different in thousands, 120,000, 86,000, 61, 170, 563. This is pipeline that is what's open and not what is closed. So I hope that helps, Brendan, in your question. Feel free to send us an email, and I'm happy to even talk about that with you in more detail offline. Sid's asked the question, data sources. If I receive the bulk of my data and orders coming to us via EDI, electronic data is what I'm assuming that is, how easy is it to roll that data into opportunities, etc.? So a little bit of a different topic, but that is a data import issue. Updating information in your system using your outside reports and sources. The way you would do that is to go into setup. I'll do this briefly. And if you go over here to data management, you can do an import or an update. You can also use data loader down here. And what you would be doing if you're importing data into existing opportunities, you would simply capture the opportunity ID in your report and make sure that the fields map, and then insert or upsert that information into your existing records, whether they're opportunities, contacts, accounts, etc. So a little different question. Speaking on data sources, yes, you can pull reports in and update reports. Another way to do that is you actually generate a report, and actually let's go back to that and talk about that real quickly. In updating data, let's say that you needed to update opportunities. So you would just run a basic opportunity report, number one. But you pull in some extra information into that report. So here's the report right now. Let's say that you needed to do a massive update of lead sources. Let's say that you've completely changed how you want to look at lead sources in your organization. You need to update that at the opportunity level. The way you would do that is you would actually pull the opportunity ID into this report. And then you can actually delete every other field. I'm going to actually just do a wipe real quick on all these fields. You're only going to be updating a single field here, and that's going to be the lead source. And so it's nice to see the name of your report or your opportunity, so I usually pull that in as well. But if this is a report being used strictly to update data in the system, then you only need the field that you're updating in this report and the opportunity ID. You run this report, let's do an all-time just to make it look better, and let's do a created date so we capture everything. capture, if we have to update every one of our opportunities with a new lead source, then we need to generate this report, has the opportunity ID, has a lead source field, and then we save it, and we can call it update report backup, whatever. You don't need to put it out in the unfiled publics. You can probably just keep it in your own folder. And then you take that report and export it. And I would export it into a CSV. You click export. I also do CSV because CSV is much easier to load into a Mac. There it is. So here's my information, and here's my lead source right there. And let's say you need to update the lead source. So you make your changes here on each of these opportunities or on each of these records, whichever they might be. Once you've made that update and are ready to go, then you take this report, save it as a CSV, go back into your setup area, go into data management, and do an import using data loader. Do an import, and when you open up data loader, you'll be using the update or the upsert function. It will then map the opportunity ID and update the field that you've updated here. So that's another way to use reports, is to create those kind of reports where you can go in and build this this import the way you want to.